Y'all, this story is absolutely unreal. So, cops out of California literally abused and tasered a man repeatedly. Okay, no big deal, right? Maybe the man was doing something wrong? No. He was in the middle of having a seizure after he crashed his car when he fell down a 20-foot cliff. And they continuously abused him, and they continuously tasered him even though he was in the middle of a medical episode. So a California man plummeted down a 20-foot cliff while he was having a seizure, and then he was tasered by cops. The body cam footage has just been released. But that's not all the cops did to him. Y'all have got to listen to this. So 22-year-old Jack Bruce crashed his red Toyota sedan into a ditch on April 1st of 2024 last year. This was after he had a seizure behind the wheel while he was driving. He still doesn't remember what happened that day. However, body cam footage shows the moment that a Hercules police officer tased him. This was while other cops were doing other horrible things to him and forcing him out of his car. Jack was obviously very disoriented after the crash, and it should have been obvious to those firefighters and police officers who approached his car. He was repeatedly asked for police officers to step out of the vehicle, and then soon after, they tased him. It was said that after Jack fell to the ground, he screamed out in agony and confusion. That was as the officer continued to do what you ask? Tase him with a bright yellow taser. That was the first time Jack had ever had a seizure. It just so happened to be while he was driving, unfortunately. He was reportedly told by cops that day that he would be charged with resisting arrest and a DUI, but thank goodness the case got thrown out by the district attorney. He has since filed a civil rights lawsuit against the police department. The lawsuit says that the 3 officers who were involved did not follow protocol, even after it was said among the police officers that he was having a seizure. Jack's attorney said that he was tased 3 times, and not only that, but he was punched in the face, and one of the officers even admitted to doing that. The attorney further stated that he was pulled by his hair, pulled by his limbs, cussed at, yelled at, shoved, poked at, and grabbed. Anything you can think of for them to get him out of that car. So I'm not going to show you the body cam footage. It is online if you want to look for it. I don't want to get a violation for showing it because it is pretty graphic, but I'll tell you what all happened in a nutshell. So it starts with an officer by the name of Angel Garcia rushing to the site of the crash. He ran down a hill to check everything out. When he got closer to the car, a man hopped out of the back seat and said, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on." Then an unnamed officer went to the back seat of the car, and then he started trying to talk to Jack. And Jack was reportedly slumped over in the driver's seat, and he'd kind of mumble every now and then. The cop then reportedly placed his hand on Jack's chest, and he kind of shook them as he talked into the police radio. And the cop was like, "Are you okay? Stay with me, buddy. Do you know your name?" It was very obvious that the cops knew he was not fully conscious. Then the officer spoke to a colleague and asked if it would be better to wait for the fire department to get him or if they should get him. Then an officer named Joshua Goldstein said, "No, just let him be if he's having a seizure." It was said during that time Jack was breathing heavily in the front seat while he rested his leg on the dashboard. Eventually, firefighters walked up to Jack's car and tried to get him out. Officer Garcia then reportedly told the firefighters that Jack was conscious and breathing, but it looked like he was having a seizure. And listen to this, and then remember this. He then said he didn't smell like alcohol and that he didn't see anything illegal in the car. So Jack eventually popped up and tried to understand what was going on as police were telling him to get out of the car. Officer Garcia then says, "Quit trying to pull your seatbelt, dude. Listen to this guy. If you keep trying to pull your seatbelt, I'm going to rip your seatbelt." So listen to this firefighter. At one point, a firefighter called Jack a little aggressive and stood away or stepped away as another officer took his place. Then the officers tried again to get him out of the car, and Jack, when he questioned what was going on, you could tell he was confused. That's when it got violent. An officer said, "Stop resisting, bro," while 2 others held him down. Officer Garcia then grabs Jack by the neck with one hand, and he grabs with his other hand a bright yellow taser. He told Jack he was going to get tased, and then he threatened him, and then he held the taser to the back of Jack's neck. Another officer reportedly said, "We want to help you, but do not effing fight us. You will get effing ripped out of this car." He wasn't even really fighting. He was literally having a seizure. So as all 3 of those officers were trying to get him out, he said, "I'm getting out, I'm going to get out." And as he was trying to get out, the officer in the back seat then tased him. Unreal. Jack then yells out, "Ow," and then falls to the ground, and guess what? The officer tased him several more times. That was as Jack was screaming. Then the officers were yelling at Jack, telling him to quit screaming. "Well, guys, you're tasing him." Bruce was eventually left with a bloody mouth and mud all over his clothes from where he fell to the ground or was pushed to the ground. 3 officers then wrangled Jack as they put him in handcuffs, and one officer even put their knee on him. He was then dragged by the officers by his shirt up the hill before he was placed on a gurney. It was said a group of officers were heard discussing what happened in the body cam footage, and they were then told that Jack was the son of a retired Richmond police detective. Officer Garcia then checked Jack's car. He found no illegal substances, and then he told another officer that Jack was high as F-U-C-K. He just doesn't know what it was, what he was high on. Jack said all he remembers is waking up in the hospital after he got his consciousness back fully. He said he was in the worst pain he had ever been through in his entire life and that no one deserves to go through what he went through. He was reportedly left with several injuries, including a black eye, lacerations, a busted lip, and severe pain. He was even on bed rest for a week due to what happened to him, and he was also a few days later diagnosed with a seizure disorder. Reportedly, the lawsuit states that responding paramedics didn't tell officers that getting Jack out of the car was necessary to avoid death or injury. The lawsuit is also alleging false arrest and excessive force, and I'd say so. The filing is reportedly seeking unspecified damages for Jack's distress and pain and punitive damages. Let me just tell you this, I hope he gets every single penny and more that he's asking for. This is unreal and the reason why so many cops get a bad name. To think he was literally getting abused while he was having a seizure is unreal. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and for more content, be sure to hit the follow button, and if you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe.